I did a move activity today with my students in class and it went really well, so I thought I would hop on and give a teacher tip video on how I implemented this activity in my classroom. The activity that I'm talking about is under the curriculum section of the NGPF website. If I go into units, I'm looking in the managing credit unit. So first of all, I should tell you that we are currently in our credit unit. My name is Amanda Volts. I'm a personal finance teacher at St. Clair High School, and I teach a year-long personal finance course to mostly 12th grade students. My class periods are about 55 minutes in length, just to give you some background in how I implemented this and how long it took me in my class time today. And we are currently in our credit unit where students have already learned about revolving debt and credit cards, and now we've talked about their credit report. And just yesterday, we talked about their credit score. So they learned about their FICO score, the FICO score ranges, what's a good credit score versus an exceptional score, and then those 5 criteria that FICO looks at to then generate that score. So that was what we focused on yesterday. So as students came into class today, I thought this move activity would be a perfect way to review what we did yesterday and also get them moving and learning at the same time. So this move activity, located right here in the managing credit unit, is a way for them to understand or review, in my case, the 5 components of a credit score, and then allow them to kind of move about and move while they're learning. So here's how I implemented it today. When they came in the room, I ended up actually moving them to a commons area in our school because my classroom is actually quite small. So you're going to want to line students up shoulder to shoulder, like in one big line. And my room's just not big enough to do that. So I took them to more of an open space, which honestly they were pretty excited about, just to get out of the classroom and be able to, like do something outside of the classroom. And then what I did to prep for this is I actually printed this document right here. So I had it, and also like there's a teacher guide to this. So I would recommend you printing this to have it to read from as you work with the students. So as you see right here, see the answer key for all the prompts and the information that you need for the activity. So I took students to a commons area. I had them line up shoulder to shoulder, and I didn't really mark off anything. You could mark off like the credit scoring ranges, like it tells you in the directions. I just didn't have time for that. So I implemented this very easily with little to no prep, in that I really just printed off the answer document, and then I just told them to line up on kind of like a marker on the floor, and I told them that this is a 700 credit score. So you're all lined up on this 700 credit score. And then what I did is I read some of the, and you can't access it from this document right here. Again, you'll have to go to the answer key to get it. But in the answer key, they give you different prompts to read to your students. Terrible teaching, I'm holding it up to the camera for you, but they give you prompts to read to the students, and then what the students do is, if they, again, they're at a 700 credit score, and if they think this action that you read will help increase their score, they're going to take a step forward. And if they think, okay, it's only going to increase a little bit, take a bitty step. But if you think, wow, that's really going to increase the credit score, then have them take a big step forward. And do the same thing if they think it would decrease the score. Take a bitty step if you think a little, take a monster big step backwards if you think it would really decrease your credit score. And you always have the option of staying put if you think there would be no impact. So for example, the first prompt I read out loud was that you pay all of your credit card bills on time for 1 month. And you kind of see the students look at each other, and some stayed where they were at, some moved forward a lot, some moved forward a little, and then I just kind of picked on a few of them as to, well, why didn't you move? Why did you move so much? And, kind of got their feedback, and then gave them a general like, well, this is, your payment history is one of the biggest factors in your FICO score. However, this is only for 1 month. So probably the best bet would be a bitty step forward, but I still let them stay where they were at. And by the way, on this teacher guide, they give you the prompts then that, or the answers essentially, that you can go over with your students. So I went over these 12 different factors, and some of them were a little tricky, and some of them were, they clearly knew how to move, and we had just some couple discussion points within it, and then I brought them back to my classroom. And after you do the activity, there are some discussion questions that you could then do with your students, but I honestly kept it really basic today with just, we went down, We lined up pretending that was a 700. I read them off. And we had a few discussion points in between. And then when I brought them back to the classroom, I asked them, okay, what were some of the key factors that definitely increased your score? And we talked about that a little bit. What were some of the factors we just did that actually decreased your credit score? We talked about that a little bit as well. And that's about what I did with this activity, and I thought it was a great way to review the components that create your credit score, but it got them moving around and out of their seats, which was kind of nice. So again, I kept it pretty basic. How long did it take me to do that? I would say it only took us about 15 minutes to get down there, to do the activity, a little bit of discussion, and then come on back into the classroom. You could make this activity longer by adding more in-depth discussion or having students maybe do some sort of reflection after. You could definitely in the activity stop and pause and have teachable moments within the activity, but I used it more as a review of some previous learning. What I segued into, which I think might be helpful to you, is we again learned about the scores. I did this as a start to the hour, and then the next thing students did after this, which is a great activity, is this activity right here, which is called Interactive FICO Credit Scores, where it gives students 3 characters, and based on their actions, like what we just did, they decide if that would increase or decrease their credit score, and they use a really great online calculator to actually calculate the credit score. So I thought, and this is the first year that I did it this way, I thought it was a perfect transition by doing this move activity to then going into this interactive FICO scores, and honestly, right after that, I do this one right here, which is calculate the impact of your credit score on your loans. I think those 3 activities are awesome to use together when teaching credit scores.